Luckily, Peter Doocy not only pushed on Biden about that question didn't get answered, but now he's with Karine Jean-Pierre here, and he's pushing back a little bit regarding what took place earlier when he asked that question, and now he's presenting it to Karine Jean-Pierre. So with that being said, let's go ahead and roll the clip between Peter Doocy and Karine Jean-Pierre sparring it out over student loan debt.
Thanks, Karine. About the student loans, how can the country afford such a massive handout?
Yeah, well, Ambassador Rice said that she's happy to have that discussion. I'm happy to have this discussion as well. Look, if you look at what this president has done, if you look at the end of this coming end of the fiscal year, $1.7 trillion that we have brought down the deficit. That matters. That matters. And if you look at the Inflation Reduction Act, it's going to add another $300 billion. It's going to bring down the deficit again.
And you might spend.
The question, Karine, for the love of God, Biden just got back from vacation. She hasn't been around. You would think that this little bit of a break would help her figure this out on how to use her head and listen with her ears. The question was, how are you going to pay for it, you knucklehead? She didn't answer it. Oh, well, we decreased the debt by $1.7 trillion, and the Inflation Reduction Act is going to pay off even more debt of $3 billion. Lady, you're spending like over $600 to $700 billion on the student loan debt forgiveness plan that you're pushing. And nowhere in that sentence or paragraph that you said on how to actually answer the question of how you're going to pay for it. So let's see if Peter Doocy follows up.
$300 to $900 billion extra. So you can do that and not.
But here's the thing. Here's the thing. What we are trying to do here, we are doing this responsibly. You heard directly from the president. This is something that is going to be important for middle class Americans. When you think about 90% of the folks who are going to actually benefit from this are making $75,000 or less, and you think about what Republicans did just a couple of years ago, they signed off on a $2 trillion tax cut for the wealthy and did not provide any way to pay for that. And that, again, here's what we...
Peter Doocy's staying on point, folks. The man is staying on point, and you need to, because she came out with a jab. You got to give her a point for that, you guys. The way she's talking about how Republicans spent money. I'm a Republican. I'm a conservative. She has a point here. She got a good hook in. Peter Doocy's not letting up, though. He's still hitting those body shots. He's not letting this point down because he knows he has a point here that she can't answer. And we're seeing that in real time.
Here's a lot about how much it might cost, it might not cost. Who is paying for this?
What we are saying is the work that this administration has done, the work that the Democrats in Congress has done is actually there. And you see that the $1.7 trillion deficit deduction that you see is going to benefit us in being able to do something for the middle class, to do something.
What the hell is she talking about? Does anybody for the love of God, know what this woman is talking about? I mean, he couldn't, it's actually impossible for Peter Doocy to be more clear in this question. I mean, he literally said it verbatim. How are you going to pay for this? Oh, well, Peter, we have $1.7 trillion of deficit, so that's how we're going to pay for it. What?
For the middle class. This is about doing something for people who make less than $125,000. $1.7 trillion. That's what we've been able to do.
But when you forgive debt, you're not just disappearing debt. So who is paying for this?
And then I'll give you the second part. We lifted the pause, right? We're going to lift the pause at the end of this year, which is going to matter, right? Which is going to offset a lot of what we're doing as well. When you think about the $4 billion that's going to go back into as revenue back into this process of
$300 billion in 2022 is going to go towards paying for the student debt forgiveness. $4 billion is going to be coming in, what she's saying. That's a deficit in my mind of, I don't know, $296 billion deficit on this. That's without the extra $329+ billion going to 2031 if it's extended. I mean, anybody else doing the simple math on this, or am I the only one? She's not making any sense here.
Folks paying right their college tuition, that matters as well. So we are doing this in a smart way. We're doing this in a way that's going to be effective. We're doing in this a way that keeps to the president's promise on giving people who need some breathing room, who need some breathing room. I just laid out for you. No, Peter, I just laid out for you how we're seeing this process and why this matters. Again, I just laid out because of the work that we have done in the economy, because of the American Rescue Plan, because of the Inflation Reduction Act, and because all of this work that this president has done has brought down our deficit by $1.7 trillion, unlike what Republicans did when they added to our deficit $2 trillion and did not care at all or thought about how this was going to be paid for. They did not actually put in a process or think about how we're going to do this in a smart way. This is not how this administration is doing it. Again, we are happy to continue to have this conversation, but I'm going to move around. Go ahead.
How can you say that you're happy to have this conversation, but yet then you're going to follow up and say, well, I'm going to move around? You didn't have a conversation. You didn't even answer his question. He only asked one. How are you going to pay for it? Who is going to pay for it? Folks, these people get paid six figures to do this type of job. This is who Democrats elected. She can't answer sixth grade questions. We'll even give her some credit. High school level questions. Who's going to pay for it? Corporations? Americans? You're going to sell bonds? You're going to take out more debt? You're going to print money? Like, how are you going to do this? And somehow she said in there, according to her, that she answered the question. I didn't see it anywhere. Let me know if you did. I didn't. It's so freaking, it drives me up the wall. How many times have we done Karine Jean-Pierre videos? How many times you gotta see me freaking getting pissed? And I hope all of you are with me as well, because you start to feel a little bit crazy when you do this. You watch it, and it's almost as if it's like you do this so much where you listen to this crazy lady and this guy running the show called Joe Biden, that it almost throws you in there of like, am I missing it? Am I really that stupid where it's like I'm missing somebody that has one of the most important jobs out there to lead the free world, and she has the job to be his mouthpiece, and I'm for some reason listening, and so is everybody else, and I don't hear the answer to the question, but somehow there's Democrats out there that believe that she actually answered the question? I mean, it's so freaking baffling where we are at as a country, where literally you are the secretary, the press secretary of the leader of the free world, and you can't freaking answer a simple question. But yet when Jen Psaki was press secretary, you had Joe Biden called Peter Doocy a dumb son of a bitch. But yet he can't answer simple questions when he's walking out of the Oval Office. His first mouthpiece, Karine Jean-Pierre, Jen Psaki, couldn't answer simple questions. She can't answer simple questions. So who's the dumb people? It sure hell isn't Peter Doocy, because he's the only one out there asking good questions. I shouldn't say the only one, to be quite honest. There was a couple reporters in that crowd that are actually growing on me. But time and time again, folks, this is what we're seeing from Karine Jean-Pierre, not answering any questions, and Democrats let it go. I'm still waiting for Joe Biden to get his ass on that podium. I'm sure all of you waiting for him to sit there and actually answer these questions for himself, but he's not going to do it. Multi-billion-dollar corporations get tax breaks. Is that fair? Freaking idiot. I hope you enjoyed that clip from the Bald Brad Show. If you did, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you can stay up to date on all our future content.